I will begin. I will begin, Idris, by reviewing last week's discussion forum. I don't think I need to show it to you. Maybe I do. Let me just do that. Because I need to make a comment here that I'm not happy about our class last week, our discussion forum. This is the discussion forum. This is the question. Explain 5 roles. Explain 5 roles of the accounting officer. That is the question you answered. And we mentioned, Idris, that an accounting officer is not an accountant. This is the highest person in an organization. Some companies call them a CEO, other companies call them a director, others director general. They have different names, but this is the person who is highest in the organization. And since they are highest, they head all departments, including procurement. So when we were discussing the structure of purchasing, we must mention them plus their roles. We had to mention the accounting officer plus their roles. So I didn't like your answers because there are two things we have mentioned, Idris. One is that you should rely on the knowledge that I teach you in the class live in the big blue button. Do not go googling these answers. Get them from your memory, because we are in a class so that we can learn. And so this is just to test whether you have understood what I have just taught you. So explaining the 5 roles, I taught 10 roles last week. I just needed you to write 5. Now let me see how your answers were. These are your answers. Your answers look like a person who is answering an accountant, not an accounting officer. That by safeguarding public funds and property under his or her control, the person who does this is the accountant, the regulatory and property of all transactions. This looks like a person. Your answers, all of them, Idris, look like a person who went and googled them from somewhere, because one, they are not in my notes, and the notes, I have already posted them in topic number 5, because last week was topic number 5. I've already posted them there. That was number 1. Number 2, we already discussed them. We discussed those points. That is the purpose of this class, to discuss all those notes so that it becomes very, very easy for you when you'll be reading. So I would like you, Idris, to stop googling or stop getting answers from wherever you're getting them. Get them from your memory. These questions I taught last week. I told you the roles of an accounting officer, and I told you why the accounting officer is involved in the procurement department. The reasons for this is that it helps to reduce corruption. It helps to ensure that the responsibility is with the highest person in the organization. It helps to ensure that the accounting officer is involved in all transactions of procurement. It also helps because the accounting officer is in the knowledge of what is happening inside his own procurement department. And number 5, it also ensures that the accounting officer takes care of 2 people, that is the supplier and the customer. It takes care of those 2 persons in their positions, official positions, as customer and supplier. So those are the reasons that we mentioned. I always record these classes, and I have been doing so. So I will be posting back. We however removed all the big blue buttons and we took them to YouTube, but we'll be giving you the links. We have a YouTube channel for ZTech. It has been there for a long time, but now we are just uploading all the videos for the classes there. Then we give you the link. If you want to check the recording of the class, click on the link. It will take you directly to transfer you directly to YouTube. And so that is what we are doing. So I didn't like that, and I needed to mention it. Another thing I needed to mention in this class, because it is important to mention it, just so that students may never say I didn't mention it. One, I don't like their attendance. It's very poor. But number 2, failing to answer the questions in the discussion forum is against your own marks, because these discussion forum questions will form your assignment marks. If you noticed, we have not done assignment 1, we only did cut 1. Neither are we going to do assignment 2. Because I have already given enough assignments every class, so I don't think it's necessary to go back and give another assignment. But cuts, we're going to do cut 2 the moment around the first week of August. We are going to do cut 2. So by then we'll have completed the coursework. So because we are moving well, we are in the third last topic, basically that last or second last, depending on how we handle it next week. So today's class is very easy. Is how to teach. I'll teach you how to measure, or the methods of measuring the performance of a supplier, so that you can ensure that you have the best suppliers in your organization. Number 2, I'll also teach you a few of the methods that the organizations use to measure the performance of a department. And a department means the people in the department, to measure whether the procurement officer has been performing well, the assistant procurement officers, or the supply chain managers and supply chain officers at whatever level, whether it's principal supply, whether they have been or senior, they have been performing well in the organization. Measuring performance is very important, just to ensure that everybody is doing their work well, and so that you can continually improve your services. Reasons for measuring procurement performance: 1 is so that you can achieve your goals. You have set targets. Every organization sets targets, and let me speak about public institutions first. They set their targets at the beginning of the financial year. So the financial year ended yesterday for public organizations, 30th of June. The day before yesterday, on Tuesday. So that is when now companies, between now and maybe August, they will be measuring whether they have been performing and whether they achieved their goals. So one of the reasons for measuring performance is to check whether they are actually achieving their goals before they are given the next batch of money in August from the National Treasury. So then number 2 is to improve performance, so that you can continually improve performance from where you were last year. And it's also number 3 for opportunities to learn and grow. You usually learn from your errors, like if you didn't perform well, and then you can do an analysis of what could have caused the poor performance, and then you improve for the next time. Influence your behavior. Basically, your performance will influence your behavior. If you need to relax or to become better, you communicate your value. You communicate your value to others. You can tell others that this department is performing, and also whether it's helping the organization achieve its objectives. Now, there are 2 key performance indicators. Key performance indicators are those aspects that we use to show whether a company, the symptoms, we can call them the symptoms, what to look out for when you're checking whether an organization is actually performing. There are 2. Generally, overall, in performance, we always check your effectiveness. That is the ability to satisfy customers. For our case, our effectiveness is the ability to satisfy customers. That is effectiveness of the purchasing department. So when we satisfy customers, then we would say we are effective. So we measure the effectiveness based on our actual output. Say you have satisfied customers 500 times, then you multiply that by 100%, and then you divide by the expected output. Maybe you had targeted 700 customers, so if 500 times over 700 times 100%, so that effectiveness is in percentage, and so that that will give you around what an effective performance of around 80%. It is around 80% there. So you can say that yes, we performed, but we performed only as good as, the 80% over the last period of time. So that is basically how you check. The one way of checking your performance in terms of effectiveness. How many customers did you satisfy? Basic output. Our output is satisfaction of customers, so we just count how many times we did that. Efficiency, number 2, is important. Even as we satisfy customers, we need to check how many resources we used to do that. Now, we have a number of resources. One is people. We can measure the efficiency of people. If we used 3 people to satisfy 500 customers, and last year we used 2 people to satisfy 500 customers, last year was better, because the lesser the people, the better. The lesser resources you use, the better. The fewer resources you use, the better. If for example you're going from here to Nairobi, from say you're in a certain location, Idris, I don't know what location you're in, you moving from your location to Nairobi, say usually use 30 minutes, but then today you use 40 minutes. Today you are less effective because time is a resource. You need to use less time as compared to every other time. So resources used, we can measure time used to satisfy a customer. Maybe you usually do an order in 5 days. This time around you did it in 3 days. That is good performance. So you satisfy customers in less time. So those are the 2 key performance indicators. Quickly, let me go to method of measuring performance in a supply department. This is in a department. The first thing is that you got to measure the true cost. How much money are you using? So that is one way to measure the performance of your department. If your budget for last year was 200 million, then this year your budget is 150 million, but you have done more work, then that means it's better, because point number 2, you have more savings. So if you're saving it, you can use the savings you have, because we discourage returning money back to the treasury, but we encourage you using less money, but then you using less money for expenses, but you use the remainder to improve your department. For example, you can do a market survey on suppliers. With the remaining 50 million, you can just do a basic assessment, a comprehensive one, where you assess the performance of each supplier based on their time, and then based on their quality, and then you go to their companies, each of them, you move around, even if it's outside Kenya, move around, go to their companies, check their manufacturing processes. Are they ethical? Are they ethical? Are they following international and local standards? Are they satisfying enough for you? So you can use your savings to improve your relationship and with suppliers. Then we also check inventory flow. Is there a problem of inventory flow? This one we can check how many items in the warehouse are redundant or obsolete. So if you have redundant materials in the warehouse, if you have redundancies in your warehouse, then that means that you have inventory flow problems. Are redundancies or obsolete materials are those ones that just remain there. They are never used for years. Some of them are even expired, so you need to throw them away, or you have too much to dispose of, which becomes basically a problem. Transportation, you can also check how fast you're transporting your items from one point to the other, so that it becomes easy for you. And then the speed of transportation, you need to check the speed of transportation. How fast are you transporting your materials? Do you have problems transporting your materials? When you have challenges transporting your materials, then it means that your performance is not very, very, very good as a department. Finally, the methods of measuring the performance of suppliers. Now, one of them is a supplier scorecard. This is a scorecard too. This is a card where you tick off the performance of a supplier based on certain categories. So in the card, maybe you have time. You say in terms of time, the supplier usually does 5 days to deliver. In terms of quality, the quality is grade A. In terms of quantity, the quantity is always satisfied. So you rate the supplier using a scorecard, a certain card that you create for yourself. You generate it from your own company, and then you provide that information to your supplier. Number 2 is ratings. Ratings is you rate the supplier in a rating of maybe 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. It is giving a score, a mark to a supplier based on their perceived performance, based on what you think their performance is. The rating is based on a Likert scale. you can in the Likert scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 10. So maybe one supplier is performing at 5, another one is performing at 6, 7, another one at 10, another one is at 3. And so you eliminate those that maybe are very low. Then we have quantitative tools of measuring performance. You calculate their time, you calculate their cost. You say that this one has higher cost than this one, so this one, the one who is lower is always the better one. Contract as long as the quality is the same. So you grade them based on quality: grade A, grade B, grade C. In grade A, you check the lowest performance, that is the best in terms of cost. Grade B, the lowest is the best in terms of cost. In grade C, the lowest is the best in terms of cost. So lead times, you can also grade the suppliers based on their how far they are. Mombasa, Nairobi, Kisumu, you can grade them that way, and then you say this one's in Mombasa, the 5 in Mombasa, the one who takes the least time is the best. The ones in Nairobi, the one who takes the least time is the best. So the least time, the least cost are always the best. The ones in Mombasa, the one who takes the least time is also the best. On-time deliveries, those who usually deliver on time. So this one, you don't have to categorize them in any way. You just pick all the suppliers, put them together, and say the 5 out of these 5, those who deliver on time every day are these 7. And that basically forms the bulk. Out of these 5, those who deliver on time are these 3. These 3. And so basically you can gauge them on time deliveries. These are things you can calculate. On time deliveries, you can say they have delivered 5 times. Out of the 5 times each, out of the 5 times they delivered each, those who delivered on time are for all of these 4 or 3. And so those are things you can calculate, and hence that is why we are calling them quantitative. So we have another one on qualitative. Qualitative methods. This is just, you use observation, or you describe that supplier. You can say maybe based on their expertise, certain suppliers have more knowledge in a certain area, others have more experience in a certain area. So those who have more experience is not something you can basically calculate. You can calculate it in years, but within the year someone may have done better than others. So you can actually take a bit of time and look at the experience of a person, the experience of their directors, the experience of their staff members, and then say that this is the more experienced supplier. So in this case, then, in qualitative tools, the higher the better. The higher the better. A person has more knowledge, has done more courses, better courses, or he has more certifications and professional certifications. For example, if it's a supplier in the area of engineering, they are certified by the bodies of engineering in Kenya and internationally, then that would be a better supplier than others. So in that case, there's nothing to calculate. You're just looking at basic knowledge, basic expertise, their strength as in their own skills. You can use a process method where you can sit down on your desk and just check the background of your suppliers, or you can go to their offices and check how they have been manufacturing their products, how they have been manufacturing basically their products. So you can go to their factory, check how they manufacture and whether they satisfy your criteria, local and international standards. As simple as that. So you just walk to their offices, which is the same as a supplier visit. You walk to their offices, check out their certificates. Are they registered? Have they registered their company? Do they have the certificates to show it? What is the quality of their products? How are their offices? How are their offices basically? Their warehouse, their production, and other things like that. So that basically is the end. The questions today for our class are as follows. The discussion forum questions, they are here. I need to regulate it to make sure that you answer those questions. You should answer them. Make sure you answer them by 2 p.m. today. So again, remember, do not ignore. These ones will form part of your assignments. So these are the questions. Let me just display them. So a company would like to evaluate the manufacturing processes of its suppliers. A company that is buying would like to evaluate the manufacturing processes of its suppliers. Suggest the right method to use for this exercise. Give reasons or cite reasons for your answer. So basically, I'm asking if you want to check how suppliers manufacture, the process of manufacturing of suppliers. What is the method you would use out of the ones I have taught? Remember, it is out of the ones I have taught. Don't Google, you will get it wrong. Then give reasons for your answer. And then that should form the end of that class. Now, I have a number of questions. Is there a question, Idris? Before I move on to another area, there's something I would like to discuss. Do you have a question? Okay. Who is your supervisor, Idris, for the project? Who is your supervisor? Because I don't think I am your supervisor. Trying to check. Okay, your supervisor is Daniel Mongi. You should, for the project, you should make sure you're contacting Daniel Mongi by now, because I'm sure he's already supervising other students for the same class. Make sure that you do that. Hannah, are you able to hear me in any way? Because I see you trying to log in, and you've been trying to do so ever since we started. But now we are actually through. But I would love to have. I'll be making comments about the students I'm supervising. For this class, so you can check them out. You can check them out. So Hannah, finally you're logged in. I see you're logged in. Can you hear me? Hannah, you should be hearing me, because I see. Okay, you logged off again. So thank you Idris, for attending the class. And so I will close the class at this point, and then we can meet again. Make sure you answer the questions in the discussion forum. You in the next 1 hour. I need those answers. I need those answers in by 1:30 so that I make my comments by 1:40, and then you can check those answers. So I will close the discussion forums after 2 p.m. since I wanted you to I will close there for all the other weeks after 2 p.m. since I wanted you to view my comments and use them for the future discussion forums. So go ahead now. Let me end the meeting there. Thank you very much.